We're going to play a game. I want you to look at this. I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to feel in your body. Yummy or not yummy? Raise your hand if it's yummy. Raise your hand if it's not. Tell the truth. Look, this is usually 50-50. Some people look at the bear and they want to hug it. It makes them feel happy and yummy. Other people, like me, look at the bear and they think, that is a sad bear. It makes me feel very sad. I could cry thinking about the bear. Am I wrong? Are you? When I do this in the class, I show a whole series of photos. And it's amazing to sit and watch people's physiology. When I show them like a happy baby and everyone's like, or I show them like rubble from war. And you just see the physiology. Big size, like you can just watch the change in people's nervous system state. It allows us to be much more compassionate when we recognize people are just being driven by the physiological system. They're being driven by the state of the nervous system. And that determines the narrative that plays out in their mind, the story that they're telling every single day. How much better do you think that story would be if they have a really well-regulated nervous system and they're more ventral? They're in the I am. How much responsibility do they take for their own health? A lot. So here's the thing, and this happens, we get what's called a neuroceptive mismatch, where your physiological response is not appropriate to the environment. You think there's a tiger chasing you when there's not. This is the hypervigilant individual, about 65% of people, according to statistics. Or you think the coast is clear when it isn't, and this is more of a dorsal vagal state where you're just like checked out, dissociated, disembodied, cannot engage. You're depressed, it feels hopeless. You're just checked out, around 35% of people. Now, if you're good at math, that doesn't leave a whole lot of ventral vagal, does it? They're probably all seeing chiropractor. That's neuroception, so beware of the neuroceptive mismatch. It's incredibly common. Last tenet is co-regulation. Neuroscience shows that humans develop their abilities for emotional self-regulation through connection with reliable caregivers who soothe and model in a process called co-regulation. Now, Porges says co-regulation is a biological imperative. What that means is connection is required to survive. Now, if you're thinking, think for one moment about a little baby. Is connection required to survive? Absolutely. And this plays out physiologically. In fact, it's connection with caregivers that helps to myelinate the vagus nerve. This is called co-regulation. And our experiences in childhood really lay down the architecture for our neurological development that predisposes us to be in a particular neural platform or not. What? Neuroscience shows that our ability to regulate our emotions requires typical neurosequential development in childhood. And this is determined by our exposure to a consistent co-regulator. This in turn drives the state and tone of the nervous system. Are you screwed if you had a shitty childhood? No, you're not screwed. However, you've got a little bit more work to do. Now, what's a shitty childhood? I had a great childhood, except for that time I was tied to the bed for 7 days. I thought it was great. Not so great. Everybody has their story, right? And the whole point is that the nervous system drives our experience. We live our whole lives through our nervous system, and it determines the stories that play out in our mind. It determines the physiology, the hormones. Everything gets driven by the nervous system and that interplay that happens. Is your biological presentation your fault? No. What a gift you could give to patients if you told them who you are is not your fault. How your body's playing out is not your fault.